Here we are for the fourth part. In this part, we will learn how women in the last century come forward to save nature. It is women's effort that we have the term ecofeminism. Without women's participation, the term is nearly half or incomplete, one could say. If we look at national or international level, women are coming forward to save nature. In this 15 minutes, we are going to cover both national and international part. We will see how nature is itself complete and can heal when there are some error occurs. But the error or the thing that are wrong done by man take years to recover, and sometimes it remains impossible for man to survive in those environment. And with this, let's begin our presentation for the fourth part. And here it is, women's fight for nature. It is title of fourth part, and we are here to discuss upon it. And this is part one, or early segment, that nature heal itself very soon. We are aware about Chernobyl disaster of 1986 with a nuclear kind of incident or accident. 30 years after this incident or accident, animals are living happily without man interference, but man could not live there. Nature could heal soon whenever, whatever the calamities, even after flood or forest fire. Nature recovers the older stage after some amount of time. Man-made incident took longer time to recover. We can check Hiroshima and Nagasaki nuclear attack in 1945, and since then to till here, men are still struggling. And even Bhopal gas tragedy of India is an example of it. And similarly, if women is aborted, their body took longer time and it has negative impact on their body as they are not prepared for it. It is a violence on their body. So these are the things that how nature and women are connected to other. You could say if there is flood or forest fire, then nature recovers soon. And similarly, women's pregnancy, if it is natural, then it has less impact on their body and their body recover it soon. But when there is cesarean or abortion, then it took longer time to recover. And same is applicable on nature. And in this case, we have 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant. It is international case. If you look at that hazardous radiation at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania, USA. It happened in the year 1979. And here, women come forward to make a link between gender and environment. And it happened just 4 or 5 years later, we have the term ecofeminism. And later on, there is a conference upon it with the title Women and the Life on Earth, ecofeminism in 1980s. So this thing, and women are coming forward to save nature from that time even till today. And the goal of this conference was to highlight militarism, sexism, racism, classism, and even environment destruction. So these are the example, the first example that we are having from USA, Pennsylvania, 1979. And that is, you could say, women are coming forward to save nature from the clutches of business or other thing, man-made thing. The next example we are having is of Love Canal disaster. It again happened in the early 1970s, and it sprayed toxic waste in urban neighborhood, especially the poor, underprivileged locality inhabited by the poor of club. And these kind of disaster too happen that women are coming forward to save nature. In fact, women's participation cannot be avoided. If we look at 1960s, then Black Panther movement in USA was led or was become became successful because of women. Because when the movement came, for the voting rights of Black people, male were arrested. Then women came forward and take the movement further, and later on Black people were given right, and that is could be taken as the significant movement of women's participation for their right. Before it, we are having suffrage movement, that is for voting right of women around World War I and so on. So women are coming forward in 20th century, and but earlier it was for their rights. But once they get rights, so voting rights, other property right, pregnancy right, and so on, thereafter they are coming forward to save nature. And this 3 miles nuclear power plant incident or this Love Canal disaster are the two early hint of international level. And the third in the list is Warangari Mathai and the Green Belt movement. It is again happened in the year 1977 by Warangari Mathai under the National Council of Women of Kenya to help women across the country who are lacking resources and couldn't provide for themselves or their families. Empowered community, especially women, to plant trees and plant and organize themselves in order to survive. So their survival remain on natural things, and this movement spread ecofeminism at a new level, deeper issues of disempowerment, disenfranchisement for the poor women, and got involved in Kenyan political issues as well. So this movement gave a new light not only to the women or the Kenyan politics as well as the nature and ecofeminism in particular. So just 2 or 3 years between in between 1971 to 1980, there were several movements led by led by women the for saving of natural sources and environment, and hence we are having this eco feminism term with her, because it speaks not only about women but also nature, and both are exploited by men for their profit. And this movement again reduced this burden, and just an attempt to fill this gap. Not only this, as we are shown, women are very careful, they are mother, they take care of everyone in centuries and time on, and they look everyone upon with lovable eyes. If we look at the Pulitzer Prize winner author Richard Powers award-winning book Over the Story, that has a female character. Her husband is paralyzed and she cannot produce a baby, and hence husband and wife adopted a tree as a baby. See, a marine biologist by profession attempted to prove that trees can communicate with one another. Later on, villagers tends to live on the trees in order to save them from cutting. And this movement in overall can be compared with India Chipko movement. This happened around the same time. So the story of this Over the Story, that is a Pulitzer Prize winning book, has some background that having relation or resemblance with India Chipko movement. And here we can find that tree is taken as a child, and we will also see several Indian poems in which tree is depicted as a child and women as a mother. And now let's move forward. That is Plachimada Coca-Cola struggle, Kerla. And apart from international level, now we are coming to national level. And this Plachimada Coca-Cola struggle happened in India, Kerala. It is a series of protests against Coca-Cola factory in the village Plachimada, Palakkad, Kerala, 2000. When the plant was established, local people were given jobs, but later on they find that company is throwing waste in water, and the water in their well become polluted and they cannot survive, and hence started a movement. And we can see in the pictures, in the above picture, people are raising their community against Coca-Cola, and in the below we are having that fresh air, fresh water, our birthright. And this movement is led by a woman, Malayama. And two environmentalists later on joined the movement, that is Canadian Maude Barlow and India's Vandana Siva. And there was also a conference, and their coming out are taken as Plachimada Declaration, which stated that water is not a private property, not a commodity, but a common resource and a fundamental right. Later on, this struggle continued for a long time till 2005. The company was in progress in smaller way, but in 2018, that Plachimada Coca-Cola factory is closed for forever, and that was a victory, and all the credit goes to women. Malayama. The second, Chipko movement, this is one of India's most popular movement, and we are aware about it. So I will spread less water upon it. And the Chipko movement started in 1970s in the Himalaya region of India, and that is a grassroots movement led by women, and all the women that hug around a tree if someone is coming to cut it. So Chipko is also called hug. So hug a tree if and not allow others to cut it. And this is a kind of movement, and it remains very successful at alarming rate, and it becomes inspiration for other eco-feminists of the century. Now, moving to next, that is the Silent Valley movement, 1976, and one of the most important, that the Silent Valley is one of the most important biodiversity hotspot in southern end of the Western Ghat in Kerala. And the government in 1976 decided to make a bridge over there, biodiversity bridge, and hydroelectric power project it was. And all the common people come against it because it was harming them in various way. And that is why a woman named Sugata Kumari came forward, and she lead the movement, and she is now an established writer, activist, and often dubbed as Mara Kavi, which means story poet. Earlier, we see that in the famous novel, that tree is taken as a child, and here too we are having, and her poem Marathiu Stuti, which can be called in English an ode to the tree, had turned into the powerful symbol of the protest. And this Marathoi Stuti we are having in the next slide, but in original language, not in English literature. And her another poem, The Silent Valley, which is about dying Kunthi River and felling of trees, reveal her eco-feminism thrust. She addresses the forest as mother, leaves and leaves in return call back her mother and child. So this relation mother and child always continue. And she agitated not only about the against that silent valley movement, but also against hidden power project at Parathakwadi and Athira Pellari, and the atomic power plant planned at Peringom in Kannur. So she is the person who dedicated her life for the protection of nature as well as of women. When that brutal rape case took place in India in Delhi, then she also was there to protest for the women's right. And if we look at the poem Marathiu Stuti, an ode to a tree, this is the poem we are having. It is in original language, so I cannot read it, but there is a reason that the poem is taken. So why such kind of movement become popular? Because they are in their regional language and not on the international language. If we look at if when we move to the sixth part, we will come to know that the one of the biggest charge laid up against these eco-feminists is their academic language, and common people could not read them. So this poem is a resistance or challenge to them, and that gives a direct answer that if you want nature to protect, then you have to spread everything in your common language so that common people could understand it. And if such happens, then movement would be successful. Even it is Plachimada or this movement, all are successful because of regional language, and common people are coming forward in their language, and they are protecting trees through their songs, culture, tradition, and everything. And this is how the women are, this movement and women are successful. Later on, educated world, civilized world, or research are taken on their work. And this is how ecofeminism is becoming stronger. And next in the list we are having is Narmada Bachao Andolan. It is 1985, and you can see this Narmada Bachao Andolan in the list here. And it is one of the largest surviving Gandhian movement, non-violent movement around Narmada River, and Medha Patkar got involved in this movement, and the main motto of the movement is Nari Shakti Ka Samman. And that is also a slogan, and it is said that every woman was ready to compromise their life for the sake of river because they wanted to save it, and the government decided at that time they will build a dam upon it. So if we look at all these movement, most of them, there is a dam, and damn thing people are against it. And the more philosophy, if we look up look upon up this Narmada Bachao Andolan, is डूबेंगे पर हटेंगे नहीं. And we can translate it in English, we are ready to drown and give our life, but we won't move from here until justice prevails. So if you look at this movement, then the main aim of there is to reduce the displacement of common people, although the movement isn't successful at all, but still it laid ground to save ecofeminism, and it becomes inspiration for longer generation. And next, and perhaps the last movement that we are covering is Navdanya Movement, started in 1981. That its aim is to save seed from biopiracy, and by giving gift. Now means nine, and now Danya means a gift of nine seeds. And mostly these farmers were women. Now Danya farmers were women. And in 1982, Vandana Siva founded the Research Foundation for Science, Technology, and Ecology. And this institute become inspiration for Navdanya movement in 1981, sorry, 1991. In 2004, Siva started Bija Vidyapeeth, an international college for so on. So main aim of this movement was to save seeds for future generation, because and another important aspect of this movement was against the bt cotton, and now we are having bt brinjal also. So maximum of crops are now coming through this bt technology, and it might possible that in the early phase it could be useful for people, but on the longer person it could give different kind of disease and so on for people. And hence this kind of movement is more important for people. And thus we are having these things, and out of these context we can say that women play a more important role in securing ecofeminism, and male are not as much. It does not mean that male is totally absent from them. Male is there, but mostly movement is led by women, and that is why maximum of them remain successful, because women understand their part and male is not. Overall, if we look at male, he is going after money, greed, profit, but women are taking care of nature and saving them. And this is we are having for third part, this part, fourth one, and we will come again with the fifth one. And with this, let's take a break.